John here, guys, and today we are talking about what is going on between TBS, Team Blacksheep, and FrSKY right now. The news is hitting all over the internet right now, and before we get started, let me just say I do not have a large favorite in this argument. I have owned, and I do own, and will continue to own Team Blacksheep products and FrSKY products. I think they both have an important place in this hobby in different facets, and really this isn't about pointing fingers, calling names. It's about looking at what's going on in this hobby, seeing it for what it is and what this representation of kind of an overall global business market, and evaluating this on sort of a microeconomic scale. So, because this is a really interesting business case that you might see in any MBA type business school course. And in fact, whenever I was going through grad school, getting my MBA, we often did cover cases that were just like this. And part of the exercise a lot of times was to determine, do you feel that the right decisions were made? How are those decisions going to impact legally or in public opinion eyes the two companies involved? So let's dive in. First, let me kind of give some background on where this is all coming from, and I'm going to read a statement from Rafael Perker, who is the CEO of TBS, and his statement reads, "With the latest slew of clones announced a few minutes ago, however, a certain line has been crossed, and we heavily regret to be forced to make the following decision in order to protect the future of innovation in this industry. Effective immediately, FrSKY R9 products have been placed on the TBS dealership star list." I'm assuming this means shit list. Short and simple, this means that any further restocking of FrSKY R9 and 900/868 MHz products will result in termination of your TBS dealership account. This does not affect any other FrSKY products or long-range systems from other brands. If you have orders placed, paid for, or on the way, we'll accept a grace period until August 31st, 2018, although we do suggest to cancel them and request a refund. Is there no better way to settle this? Well, to be quite honest, we'd love to hear your thoughts going forward. We seem to have caught a cloner that is not letting go, and we seem to be in a place where reasonable professionalism cannot be expected. While the Crossfire system is still miles ahead of its competition in terms of performance and features, we have not calculated the fact that all of our investments into R&D would eventually fuel our competitors' products. On top of this, FrSKY is abusing the dealership network with absurdly low margins, which further make our pricing appear inflated. We've done our best to contain the situation, but today's FrSKY announcement literally steals the remaining hardware lineup that Crossfire had, with the goal of imitating even the design of our products. Respectful competition is no longer possible under these circumstances. If you feel that this step is going too far, we understand and respect your decision. We in no way want to be in your way of the success of your FPV company, and would therefore simply request that you let us know so that we can take the necessary steps on our end. We encourage that you communicate this change with your customers. The time span of this ban is currently not clear as we continue to monitor how the situation develops. For completeness, you may request an updated TBS dealership agreement for your reference. We hope that you have an otherwise wonderful day. If you have any concerns or comments, please do not hesitate to contact us via email or visit us in the TBS lounge. Best regards, Rafael Perkner, CEO of TBS Avionics Co. Limited. So guys, that's the statement from TBS. Now let's break down kind of the circumstances that are going on here. TBS is saying that the new line of R9 long-range 900 megahertz modules and receivers are clones of the TBS Crossfire system. Now, I'm not here to decide whether that is the case, so I will kind of present two scenarios, one in which we feel that they are clones and one in which we feel that they are not clones, and what both of those scenarios mean. I'm not here to play favorites. I appreciate both companies, and I can appreciate and respect both strategies that are being put forward. And as you younger people that are out in this hobby, really pay close attention, because one day you will be in the position to work in businesses, to form companies, to go out there and produce competition in various realms, not just in FPV, but in all industries. And pay attention to how this kind of plays out. So now let's talk about what other 900 megahertz systems are out there on the market. There are several by other companies, but TBS is saying they don't have a problem with them. They only have a product with this new R9 release. Now, I don't at the moment have Crossfire or R9. I've been running the FrSKY XM Plus, which apparently is not an issue for TBS. Now, these two items that I have out here, these are just the only two items I had by these two companies that I wanted to put in the video. It's really just going to be kind of a discussion. And so now let's talk about whether this technology is proprietary. Are there patents in place? Are those patents going to be defended in court? Well, it seems like that is not the case. And this is a very interesting point. So, if these products do not have patents, then that means they are not protectable under patent law in the US or in other countries. So, how does that work? Well, patents are very expensive. Patents also take a long time to be issued. And in an industry such as FPV, which is one, growing, and two, which is advancing way faster than Moore's Law would predict, it's advancing so fast that even if you were to go get a patent on something and then wait to kind of release that product till after you got the patent, the industry could have already moved on. So let's kind of look at two different scenarios. One, is the industry large enough financially to support getting patents of these products? And two, does the industry move too fast, where even if it was fiscally possible to purchase a patent or to get a patent, would it even make sense given the long road to being out on the market and how fast other companies are innovating and developing at that same time? So that may be the reason why there are not many patents. So this is not defensible in court. So what TBS is doing is they're taking an alternate strategy of trying to go sort of into a strong arm tactic to get other vendors to not carry this R9 module and try to kind of push them out of the market that way. Now, traditional business tactics would kind of side towards what FrSKY is doing, is they're coming up with a comparable product. Now, this assumes that it's not a clone, and they're coming up with a comparable product, and they are becoming the low-cost leader on purpose in order to kind of push market in their direction, market share in their direction, to kind of push out the competition. Now, there's been many instances throughout the years where it's not always the best technology that wins. Sometimes it's the low-cost leader. Sometimes it's what's more affordable. Sometimes it's what can make it to market faster and gain faster market penetration. And a good example of this would have been back in the 80s when the VHS versus Betamax wars were going on. And you kind of saw this happen again later on when you had like HD DVD versus Blu-ray. It's not always, sometimes it is the best technology that wins, but not always. Sometimes it's who can be more business savvy, and FrSKY from this sense is taking a more traditional approach. Other companies such as Sony with the PlayStation, Microsoft with the Xbox, they will potentially sell devices or even whole entire systems or consoles at a loss in order to gain market share, and then they recoup that the rest of their profits by having you in their ecosystem to where you're going to purchase other goods. So whether it's games, whether it's receivers, whether it's purchasing entire radios, that's kind of the thing. Now, what's interesting here is that the TBS Crossfire system modules have to have a transmitter to plug into. And, yes, TBS has their Tango transmitter, but nobody really races with that. Everyone races with either a Spectrum or an FrSKY, and from what I've seen, at least in my town, FrSKY is far more prevalent with the Taranis X9D, the Taranis Q7, and currently also the new X-Lite that just came out. So what does that mean? How can they be fighting in this way with a company that they rely on their transmitters to plug into to use? It's a very sort of interesting symbiotic relationship that they have. And you would think in this manner that perhaps FrSKY is the larger presence because they're the ones that is required. Without a Taranis or without some sort of transmitter to plug into, there's nothing for Crossfire to even work on. So how does that work? And which tactic is the more powerful one? Is being the low-cost leader the stronger tactic, or is using the strong-arm tactic of trying to push retailers to exclude a certain product from your lineup the best option? I'm not sure if that's the best way to go. Honestly, as a consumer, it kind of leaves a weird taste in my mouth. I'm not saying it's terrible, and from a business strategy standpoint, I have to respect kind of the cleverness of this approach, but is it going to backfire? I don't know if people are going to see this as TBS trying to push retailers around, because is this really going to negatively affect FrSKY? Or is it more likely to negatively affect your online FPV retailers? Or is it more going to negatively affect your FPV customers? What do you guys think? Next, let's talk about the fact that I don't know, man. I'm really trying to stay impartial with this discussion, so I don't want to kind of dive too far one way or the other. So I'm just going to wrap it up here and ask for what are you guys' thoughts? If you were running a business, which position would you prefer to be in? Which do you think is the stronger position? And I'm trying to really kind of get everyone, this isn't supposed to be a which company do you like more, which products do you like more. Let's kind of take ourselves out of the situation and kind of deal with this from an MBA, business class, business school context. And let's evaluate, if you were the head of a company and put yourself in both sides, which one would you rather be in the place of? Who do you think has the stronger position there? And do you think both are doing the right thing? I don't know if it's a clone, but looking at those R9 receivers, they do look very similar to Crossfire. But is that layout of a receiver something that's defendable? Is it protected? Is it proprietary? And that word proprietary is so key in discussions like this. If you ever watch the show Shark Tank, one of the first things that they ask is this protectable? Is my investment going to be protected? Is it proprietary? Meaning, is there some way for you to defend another company coming out and making the exact same thing? I.e., can someone clone it? Because cloning in itself is not technically illegal if there are no patents in place. So what are the other ways that you can get around something if it's not patentable, where you can make a trademark, or you can keep something a trade secret? Now, a trade secret is something like the recipe to Coca-Cola, which is super secret, or the recipe to Kentucky Fried Chicken. These are not patented things, but they are trade secrets, meaning they are so protected under lock and key that people cannot reverse engineer them. But in components such as these, like receivers, where manufacturers can very easily analyze the individual components, the circuit boards, and kind of just reverse engineer them, reproduce them, and make them, they are not as proprietary, and without patents to protect them. What is the etiquette? Well, in this case, TBS feels very strongly that any clones are not right. Now, what have some other companies in FPV done to get around this? Let's just go over a few quick examples. Armatan gets around this by charging a premium price for their frames, but giving a lifetime warranty. That is a market differentiator, and they know that even though their frames could be cloned, the name of Armatan, the warranty that it comes with, is something that people flock towards and are willing to pay for that premium. How does something like the Hyperlight Floss and the line of Floss products get around that? They get around that by being, for a long time, the low price leader in the industry for frames. So they were coming out with consistently new designs to keep cloners on their toes. Cloners were always a step behind, and because they were charging such a low price, it kind of kept the cloners away for a little while because there just wasn't as much money for them to make. And eventually some of their designs did get cloned, but since Kebab is coming out with new designs so frequently, that's another way to combat it, is evolving and coming out with new products rapidly is another way to combat this type of situation where patents may not be a possibility for an industry that's evolving and moving so quickly. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up there, guys. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is right in this situation? What's the stronger position? I personally still really appreciate both companies. I think both companies are great. I love my QX7S transmitter. I've used tons of Unify VTXs that are for the most part very bulletproof. I've used this Team Blacksheep lag timer and a few other TBS products as well. Antennas, all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, nobody's in the wrong. I think it's a very creative strategy. I just hope that it doesn't backfire on them and result in some public backlash. And I hope that it won't. So that's been another episode of Droneconomics, guys, where we talk about economics. This was kind of on much more of a macroeconomic scale, dealing with the entire industry, but it's also somewhat micro at the same time because we're talking about such a specific piece of that. So if you like these type of videos where we're kind of now analyzing these things, getting a business viewpoint, getting an MBA viewpoint on all things FPV, then let me know and I can keep making them. See you guys.